It's been a rough year for Disney, and I can't say that I care one little bit as they love to bend the knee to the Winnie the Pooh baby batter guzzling folks. But nonetheless, there are real people attached to the backlash here, attached to a pending large scale layoff that's coming, including Bob Iger, apparently. I don't understand that one necessarily since he was already on the way out, but a new rumor and basically an online rant by Abigail Disney putting out C-suite, going after C-suite, and warns of layoffs are coming. So this via bounding into comics.com, it's I understand that, like, I don't care about Walt Disney the corporation, but I guarantee you I have hundreds of viewers that work for Disney in some capacity, and they have nothing to do with the decisions that Disney makes. There are thousands of park workers that are laid off as the CEOs and C-level people continue to cash their entirety of their salaries. These are the people I care about. It's the same reason when, my viewers, don't give me a lot of slack on trying to give GameStop the benefit of the doubt. Well, yeah, GameStop has some bad policies, but it has tens of thousands of employees. I'm sure the overwhelming majority of which are gamers, and many of them enjoy my content too. So I try to understand the human side of it. Do I appreciate or like everything that GameStop Corporation does? No. But do I have a heart for the employees? Yeah, and they're the ones that have to deal with the fallout. Now, a new rumor details that Walt Disney Company will be experiencing mass layoffs in the near future. The rumor comes from user Phoenix at WDW Magic Forums, a recent post forum titled "On Layoffs, Very Bad Attendance, and Iger's Legacy Being One of Disgrace." Phoenix details that the Walt Disney Company is about to experience some of the deepest layoffs I have ever witnessed in my adult life. Like, here's the thing. You don't have to be a prognosticator to assume there's going to be some level of layoffs. If we look at really 1 year, we had February, March when everything was shut down, it cratered, but quietly it continues to rise up. Why? Mostly because the success of Disney Plus and the money that that's going to generate. Wow, what incredible timing for them to roll that out. Not that I would pay for it, but nonetheless, a lot of people did. Phoenix elaborates, what you're about to see from the WDC will be shocking, and it will permanently change the business forever. The bloat is about to be gone. The mediocrity that's failed upwards all of our lives is about to be purged. A new company is emerging. This is a very, very bold statement. There is one suspect thing with all of this, though. I mean, the fact that it kind of targets Bob Iger in all of this, it kind of reads like a hater. It kind of reads like, I'm giving this, and by the way, the WDW forums have delivered some very true leaks in the past, so I'm not so quick to dismiss it, but also understanding that, they're not going to have a new movie hit the theaters in America this year. The park attendance has got to be just awful. And that's not going to change till next summer, probably. The idea that they're not going to have mass layoffs, I mean, I would 100% buy that. You know what I haven't bought, though? We are now back over 40% of my viewers are not subscribed. Please, I hope today will be the day that I earn your subscription. There's a little red subscribe button down below, or there's one on the main channel. Subscribe just so you can go to your subscription tab and find my videos more easily. I'll really appreciate it. And I guess if I haven't earned it yet, that's okay too. But please subscribe. In fact, Phoenix claims Bob Iger will be one of the ones who gets axed. They write, and it brings me to Bob Iger, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gotta Put Yoda on his wife's dress to bury some search engine leads. That guy. It's my pleasure to announce that he will soon be tossed on his rear. Phoenix adds, in disgrace, his sins, his poor judgment, his poor treatment of subordinates, his malicious temper, and outrageous displays of toxic masculinity, as the kids call it, all this and more is coming out, and good riddance. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, if you told me that Disney was going to have mass layoffs, I would believe you. Bob Iger, hasn't he already kind of agreed to move on? So why fire him now? There might be something to this rumor, as Abigail Disney, the granddaughter of Walt Disney and co-founder Roy O. Disney, also warned the layoffs to the company would be coming. In a lengthy Twitter thread, Disney began criticizing the current state of the American business, saying there is deep rot at the core of American fundamentalist capitalism. Over the years, greed is good mindset has taken across corporate culture, and CEOs have taken the ball and run it with it. Now, it should be pointed out that Abigail Disney, as far as I can tell, doesn't really work for Disney. And she has oftentimes put the company on blast for some of their decisions, but I don't know if she has the best record of being correct. That isn't to say she's not right here, but it's just to say just because her last name's Disney doesn't mean she really has any ideas of the inner workings of what's going on at Walt Disney Company. She continued, they populate their boards with CEOs, and then they add layers and layers of executive structure between them and the workers. Eventually they forget what they once knew, if they ever did, about what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, to have no power over your own destiny, to feel like a cog in a giant machine whose work is unskilled, ergo easily replaced by 100 other people who would rather take your horribly paid job than continue to languish on unemployment, she added. Again, this feels more like a rant against capitalism than one that's specifically, about inside knowledge of Disney. But she continues. She would then specifically talk about the Walt Disney Company and how she previously objected to the company's furloughing employees in April. She stated, I objected when Disney furloughed their workers, not because they shouldn't have, but because they should have waited as long as humanly possible to do so, since unemployment benefits are finite and the clock starts ticking the minute you are furloughed, no matter how long everything lasts. That's a reasonable point. That said, I might be incorrect about this, but I think that the extra 600 just ended like a week or two ago. So if I was going to be furloughed, I'd rather be furloughed now and get $800 a week than right now and get $300 a week. So maybe furloughing them during the period in which there were extra unemployment benefits, probably was the better call for those employees. They furloughed workers as quickly as they did because there was very little cash on hand, even after a year after historic profits. That's not true. Where's the cash? In the hands of executives and shareholders. $11.5 billion went out the door in stock buybacks, enriching everyone but the people who worked hard to make it happen. Disney would continue to criticize corporate greed among CEOs before explaining that Disney furloughed their workers because they intend to lay them off anyways. She wrote, Disney furloughed its workers because they intend to lay many of them off, but they didn't want the bad publicity that would come with layoffs. So they chose to take the heat for 2 medium-sized PR hits instead of one great big one. Again, I don't think Abigail has any inside knowledge of this. This is her openly speculating, and because her last name is Disney, people think she knows about it. But, again, maybe, but I don't think she has some sort of line to the inner boardrooms. She then specifically predicted that layoffs will happen. She wrote, wait for it. Layoffs are coming. I don't expect Disney to pay people who don't work for them, nor do I expect them to employ people in excess of what they can afford. Disney would then detail that there are 2 important takeaways, she writes, but 2 things about this are important. First, had they not spent the last 2 decades prioritizing efficiency and productivity in the form of smaller staffs doing the same amount of work, pressuring people out as who discourage seniority, messing with people's hours so they can't claim benefits, the people whom they've cut loose would not have been so ill prepared for the lockdown. Very true. But again, I hate to take this cold-hearted approach, but taking a job at Disney is a choice. Taking a job at a super huge mega corporation is a choice. There are benefits that go along with that, but then there are also drawbacks. These are those drawbacks, all right? And I don't think that you have to be, again, some great prognosticator to predict Disney's going to have layoffs. Of course they are. I'll be on the record and say, of course Disney's going to lay off people probably before the end of the year. She continued, these people would not only did they not have any savings, many of them have been forced into high-priced rented housing. Again, I don't know about forced, Many of them have had to look to pantries to feed their families. Many shift workers were forced to delay health care or else work when being sick because they hadn't worked enough consecutive hours because they were sick to even take advantage of the sick day policy. These are legitimate critiques, and I've covered this before. Disney should absolutely treat their employees better. You could say this of almost every major mega corporation. I'm not so cold-hearted as to not understand the plight of the hourly worker. I was hourly, overdrafting checks on Wednesday nights because I knew my paycheck would clear on Thursday and it would be like $300. But then when my check cleared, I'd already blown $100 of it, and because I needed to get food in the house. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. I worked hard since I was 14 years old. I had a job washing dishes, then bussing tables, then working in an office supply store, then repairing computers, all these hourly jobs until I was deep into my 20s. And I understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck and to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. I did that for 15 years of my life. All right. I understand what it's like, and I empathize with, understanding what a job is worth. I'm not one of those $20 minimum wage people, but I also understand that, when you make trillions of dollars, maybe don't have loopholes to screw your employees out of health insurance. I think that's a very reasonable place to be. Disney moved on to the second takeaway. The second is when they furloughed workers who were already living close to the bone, they shifted the moral burden of caring enough about those who mutually create profits with them in the state and therefore the taxpayers. Disney and others are asking us to pick up the tab for their years of whittling away at the dignity of the American worker so they could transfer all that value way upstream to people like me, she continued. She added, yes, people like me essentially have gotten rich off the oppression. Yes, it's a weighty word, and I meant it. Off systematic stripping of dignity from millions of American workers, because that's how we were taught society works, because that is what business schools told us to do. I disagree. I went to business school. I didn't have that class. Because of because what Milton Friedman said, because only shareholders matter. Again, not true. A CEO's job is to maximize, shareholder wealth. And that's true, but you can do that without being a monster. I think that Abigail Disney, so Clownfish TV would indicate there is precedence to this rumor. Disney will be laying off people. Yeah, of course they are. And I'm not sure, let's see what her net worth is. $120 million. Okay, so why don't you, do a little bit to help those people? I understand advocating for change, but also you could be the change you want to see. You could hire some of these people. I'm assuming, she's the heiress, but I'm not sure how much she's actually involved in the company. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think she's involved in day-to-day operations. I just don't. I mean, let's see. Abigail Disney job. She's a film director, philanthropy. So she's an American documentary filmmaker, philanthropist, and social activist. She produced a documentary. Okay, so she doesn't work for Disney. She doesn't have any corporate level knowledge of what they're doing. She just inherited a bunch of money from Disney and likes to spout out for likes and retweets on Twitter. So she's another do-nothing rich person. That's how it seems anyway to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Will Disney be laying people off? Yes. Should Disney be treating their employees better? Yes. Stop bending the knee to China and take care of your employees here in America better. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.